As the new Uprising Collection event gets ready to start in a couple of days from now, it's actually pretty exciting stuff to know that Respawn is going to be testing some really big changes that seem to be trying to make its way into the game permanently. Now, of course, this is never really unusual behavior for Respawn. They normally try to do LTMs and a bunch of little weird gimmick styles on the game so that they can test features that they might want to change in the future permanently. For instance, you might be an OG if you remember that we used to actually not have Evo shields. It actually used to just be blue and purple armor, white armor, and it was stationary at that. There was no leveling it up at all. It came out with a game mode to test it out, and lo and behold, in the future everything became Evo shields, and we all spawned with Evo shields, and you could always level up any armor. There was also a point in time when both were actually in the game. Some were Evo and some were standard armors, but of course now everything's just Evo shields. Well, that's what it seems like Apex seems to be doing again with this new event coming up and another permanent feature that they may look to add soon. So this feature is the new implementation of perk systems coming into the game. If you haven't seen it already, it's been leaked and talked about and known for some time that Respawn seems to be implementing a perk system into the game that was formerly known over at the mobile side of things, where they had all sorts of legend abilities, perks that you could grab. But we knew it was going to be added into the main game, but we had also heard that it would be done a little bit differently compared to mobile. And so this seems exactly what they're going to be doing during this Uprising Collection event, which surprisingly lasts for one entire month. But seems like there's another surprise Respawn is hiding in this event, as it looks like they might look to return something else as well. So back on topic, during the first week, you're going to be able to test out two new perk systems. Number one is going to be Grenadier Vision and also Grenadier Sling. Now, of course, you got to get certain amount of like weekly reward points in order to obtain these. I don't know if you'll be able to use both at the same time or have to pick one over the other, but it seems like it would be like a global passive ability where you could just see grenades through walls or something. And then also the Grenadier Sling, I would imagine, would be like Fuse's passive ability where you could stack multiple grenades instead of just having one per slot. And then if you notice, that one ends on the 12th and the next one begins on the 12th as well. So back to back with the new reward adding Medic Vision and Medic Inventory. And of course, this is another feature that we're pretty familiar with, but it just seems like it would be coming in the form of a perk instead of like passive ability, where Medic Vision, you'd be able to see meds through walls. Medic Inventory would probably be something like the gold backpack where you could stack multiple bats and med kits or something. And then if you pay attention and notice, that one ends on the 19th and the next one starts on the 19th as well, where you can have a speed on knock passive ability. Now this perk seems really cool because it seems like as soon as you get a knock, you'll get some type of double time Bangalore thing. I would imagine that this is probably going to be for assault legends or something. That'd be pretty cool if it wasn't based on legend category at all and it was just like a perk that you had equipped on your account, so every time you got a knock, you got a little bit of a speed boost as well. It'd also be cool if they tested out like a little bit of health or siphon or something whenever you got a knock as well, because they were interested in doing that with the Revenant ultimate ability during this whole revamp Revenant rework thing, but sadly obviously that part got cut as well. Also, they noted that in week 3 you'd be able to get an ability charge on squad wipe, which is pretty self-explanatory as well. But going into week 4, of course, notice that it ends on the 26th and the next one starts on the 26th. The last two perks that they seem to be looking at adding into the game are reduced tactical recharge and reduced ultimate recharge, and these are also self-explanatory. But I wonder, of these 8, which ones are going to be like the official perks that they may look to add into the future of the game itself? Are there some other perks that they may look to add as well? I would imagine so. But also notice that in this event you're going to be getting the Revenant Uprising that brings out the 30v30 mode that we've already talked about, where legends have to reach an evac point while the Revenant army does everything they can to stop the escape swarming the ground. And if you die, you join the Simulacrum horde, but there is one particular like alpha Revenant in all of this that has red eyes and has like high tier loot with guns and red shields and all of that. And then they give the dates for these events, and this is where it gets weird because this LTM is actually not going to be available for the full time of the event, even though like it is during the same Uprising Collection event. It's going to come in waves, and I think we know why. So it starts off December the 5th at 11 a.m. to December the 11th at 10 a.m. And then it takes like a couple of days off, and it comes back December the 15th through December the 18th for a couple of days. Then it takes a couple of days off, and it comes back on the 22nd to the 25th, and another couple of days off to the 29th and January 1st. Now, the reason I think that all of these breaks exist is the same reason that Garrett Leaks had also mentioned in his video. I think that they may look to return the Winter Express event as well. But before we jump to conclusions, you cannot forget the history of this event. Last year, Apex Legends hosted their Wintertide Collection event, which was basically a rinse, repeat, recycled event that they had used for the past 2 years. There was absolutely nothing new. It was just a bunch of skins, and to be honest with you, it was a bunch of BS. And even though this Winter Express mode is super fun, it was just getting old, and it looked like they put no effort into it whatsoever. I don't think that this game mode is hated, even though that the fans seem to really be upset with this collection event, sparking a 58,000 dislike and only 23,000 like, a massive ratio on Apex Legends official YouTube account. Fans were very upset and outraged. I don't think that they're going to look at this and say, okay, we can't bring that game mode back, but I guess it is possible. But with all the breaks that they're going to be having in this, I would imagine that they also cycle in the Winter Express mode, because I think they know that fans do want that mode still. We just don't want it to be the only thing. So it is very possible, for those of you that have been asking, yes, the Winter Express event mode could still come back during these breaks that they have, but it's not been confirmed, and they have not put it in the patch notes anywhere to suggest that that could be happening, but it's just something that you could theorize about. But to be honest with you, it's probably one of the most fan favorited modes of all time in Apex, and it's such a tradition to have it into the game during Christmas time that if they don't add it, it would be a really shocking event. Honestly, there's just no way they don't add it. They literally always have. And to be honest with you, as fun as the mode is, and as much as it's like Hardpoint from Call of Duty or something, I'm surprised that they don't make this mode permanent and just call it like Train Express instead of Winter Express. Like, in my opinion, this would be a perfect mode to add into the mixtape playlist along with the team deathmatch and control stuff, because if you've missed out on all of this time and you've never played this mode, it's basically King of the Hill being a 3 versus 3 versus 3, and the train is the hill that you have to capture. Now, to be fair, it seems like Respawn may have stepped it up a bit with adding new things, because if you remember about a year ago, there was a lot of complaints, even with like the Wintertide Collection event I showed you, where it just felt like Respawn was recycling a bunch and not adding anything new and not being innovative like at all. There was no big announcements like in sight anywhere. So what in the world has changed, and can we expect Respawn to keep this change going? And the answer in theory should be yes. And the reason why is because Respawn actually added up a new development team in New Madison, Wisconsin, and this basically was for Apex Legends specifically in expanding the game's content. The idea was that these guys in New Madison, Wisconsin could prioritize a lot more time making content for the game, so that while the other developers, I guess, worked on constant stuff that they had to work on, like bug fixes or keeping and maintaining the live service game, these guys could make sure that with all these new helpers involved, we could always have content for every season, and we didn't have to worry about dry seasons, dead seasons, or seasons basically just going really dull. Now, that theory was developed by another content creator, so I doubt that that's fully accurate. I'm sure these guys do other things than just prioritizing the content. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that is all they do. This new location in New Madison, Wisconsin is actually led by a guy named Ryan Burnett, who is actually working at Raven Software and Epic Games. And of course, we know Epic Games doing Fortnite is non-stop, really good, high-tier quality content. Of course, we didn't immediately start seeing results whenever they hired this new team, but of course, there needed to be time to build up a backlog anyways. And so it does feel like after months of being here, months of working on this, it does feel like we're finally starting to see improvements with the content side of Apex. And so with things like getting a new facility and getting the guy over from Epic Games to be the studio director over here, and basically trying to prioritize having constant content in the game, we can finally look forward to this being a consistent thing in Apex and not just 1 or 2 good seasons and then a bunch of dry seasons, especially after Respawn confirmed that they would not be working on a new engine for the game and porting everything over and having all these employees take away from the live service game to work on that. So obviously it's intriguing. Interested to see what you guys have to say down in the comment section below about all the topics in today's video. Of course, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you want to stay up to date all things Apex Legends news related, and until the next time, we'll see you all later, Gators.